is Bob Beckel,
This is Cal Thomas, a conservative who is pro-life,
a liberal who once worked for Jimmy Carter,
who favors smaller government,
who believes in big government.
and in a town full of cheap shot artists, I've never heard Cal take a cheap shot.
But even when he's wrong, he's likable. And this is Common Ground.
And this is Common Ground.
Welcome to Common Ground, a video version of Bob Beckel's and my bi-weekly USA Today column in which we try to figure out how to bridge Washington's partisan divide. Well, Bob, we got the election coming, and the partisan divide has never been greater than it is now. Everybody thinks, and I know you do too, because you watch the polls and are among the best interpreters of them, that this is going to be a Republican wipeout of the Democrats. So what next?
Well, first of all, there's no other way to put it. It's going to be a happy November for you, and it's going to be a lousy November for me.
Welcome to 2008, by the way. That's how I felt.
Well, yeah, I bet. But look, I tell you, I don't think in all the years I've done polling, and I've looked at polls, that I've seen the public as angry and upset with Washington the way they are now. Now, the Democrats are going to take the hit because there's a lot more of them than there are Republicans. But let us not think here that this is just about Democrats. It is about all politicians in Washington. They're tired of them all. And if there were more Republicans, they'd be in trouble too.
Well, I agree with that. But I also think that this represents a rare moment to do something about the debt. Democrats, before they got power again, were hammering about the debt, and we can't have this kind of deficit under George W. Bush when it was only $450 billion. Now that it's approaching $12 trillion, depending on how you figure this, all of a sudden the debt is not a big deal. But I really think that this is a rare moment when Republicans and Democrats can come together on the debt and improve their standing with the voters.
Well, that may be true, but look, I found something very interesting. Pew, which is one of the best research groups, I think, independent groups around Washington, asked a question of voters a year ago in April about how much bickering did they think was going on in Congress. And I brought the figures with me. Last year, Republicans and Democrats were about equal, 58 or 55%, and 50% of independents thought that they were bickering. This year, they asked the same question, and all three groups, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, 80% say too much bickering. Now, I think Obama meant what he said, that he wanted to try to work with the Republicans. And I've always believed the Republicans never wanted him to be successful. I know you don't agree with that, but it may be that there's a silver lining in this cloud for Obama, believe it or not.
Well, do you think he will? I mean, he comes in with I would say, a left-wing agenda. Now, I know some of your friends on the left don't think he's been left enough. That's fine. That's debatable. But I don't see in his career, if you can call it that, any period in which he was willing to give up or to compromise on his ideology for the sake of moving the ball forward. Do you?
Well, yes. I think he tried originally on health care. I think he tried to bring the Republicans in, and I think the Republicans turned their back on him.
Well, he tried to bring him in, but he didn't really compromise say, okay, well, look, we'll compromise on the mandate, or we'll compromise on, on the exchanges. There was none of that.
Okay, this is all history now. So let's take a look at, when I just said the thing about a silver lining, I'm sure you were going to say only you could find a silver lining in this November.
Well, I was thinking of it.
Well, that's exactly right. And here it is. What Obama campaigned on in 2008 about a new tone in Washington and working with the Republicans, he could really do now, because there's no choices here. The Republicans, if they think they're going to come in here and just stalemate Obama, and he vetoes whatever they try to pass, and so nothing happens and we have paralysis, the only people that win from that are special interests. The people that put all the money in these races, and they want the status quo, which is delivering money to them. Maybe Obama and the Republicans should give them an opportunity to sit down and work on the deficit.
Well, that would be good. I hope that happens. And if it does, I'll be among the first on the right to praise him for it. But I just feel that given his persona, here's what I think is going to happen. If the Republicans, as seems very likely, take over the House, and if they get very close, as seems likely, or at the outside take over the Senate, I think he's going to dig his heels in, because more than anything else, he wants to be elected in 2012. And he will probably say, those terrible Republicans have kept me from fulfilling my agenda, even though he's, by his own admission, gotten 70% of it already, and run against the, to quote Harry Truman from another election, the do-nothing Congress.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. When Harry Truman did it, it worked. But this time around, I'm telling you, the public is not having any patience with any of it on either side. They've thrown people out much more quickly than they used to. They've turned over Congress.
That's true.
They'll do it again if they have to. And I think when it finally sinks into both the Democrats and Republicans that there's actually votes in working together as opposed to working against each other, That will be a great revelation here. It shouldn't be a revelation, but actually people want to see things get done. So what if Obama sat down on health care and said, I'll tell you what, I'll open it up and I'll put tort reform in?
Well, that would be a good step in advance. I agree with that, but that's only part of the bigger picture. We still have to find out how the courts are going to work this out. You know, in Virginia, just this week, there was a lawsuit about the constitutionality of mandating, forcing people to buy health insurance. So that's going to go all the way to the Supreme Court, and I think Congress is probably going to wait on that before deciding whether to modify health care.
I think you just heard the conservative argument about this. This is not about health care, this is about what happens now. So we're going to wrap this thing up and just say, let's hope they sit down and take advantage of this moment and work together.
Agreed.
Hey, look, check out our column in the paper and on USA Today's opinion website at opinion.usatoday.com. Thanks for tuning in, and come back again in 2 weeks for the next installment of Common Ground.